In Norway, social movements rally against the Nobel Committee's decision to award the Nobel Peace Prize to Venezuelan far-right Maria Corina Machado. In Venezuela, over 400 delegates take part in the Assembly of Peoples for Peace and Sovereignty in North America. The gathering aims to build a platform to counter the U.S. threats in the Caribbean. And Cambodia and Thailand resume military clashes despite ceasefire agreements. Authorities registered at least 7 civilians killed and 20 others injured. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. This Tuesday, Norwegian social movements are demonstrating in rejection of the Nobel Committee's decision to award the Nobel Peace Prize to the representative of the Venezuelan far-right, Maria Corina Machado. Precisely, an alliance of Norwegian organizations dedicated to peace and solidarity called for a massive demonstration on December 9th and the 10th in front of the Norwegian Nobel Institute of Oslo, stating that the committee's decision contradicts the spirit of Alfred Nobel's will to reward efforts for disarmament and for peaceful resolution of conflicts. They pointed out that Maria Corina publicly supports a military intervention against Venezuela by the U.S. government, the unilateral coercive measures imposed on the country, and is linked to violent and destabilizing actions. Maria Corina Machado is set to receive the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo on December 10th, on the anniversary of the Alfred Nobel's death. In this context, the network of intellectuals and artists in defense of humanity signed a letter to the Nobel Peace Prize Committee denouncing its choice of Maria Corina Machado to receive the award this year prior to the presentation of the medals on December 10th. The statement reads, "The United States government has made public its intention to overthrow the legitimate government of Venezuela with the aim of taking over the world's largest oil reserves." They also stated, "In the midst of this clear violation of the Charter of the United Nations and international law, we are faced with the unpleasant news that your committee has decided to award this year's prize to the main promoter of war, the invasion of our own country, and the destabilization of Venezuela and the entire region." Maria Corina Machado. The organization continued, "We lovers of peace repudiate wars and will continue to fight for genuine and true peace, which can only be understood as a right of peoples, indivisible from their self-determination and the defense of their sovereignty." They ended by saying, "After the grotesque ceremony you will hold on December 10th, you will no longer have any moral authority to speak of peace or justice, words that you manipulate at will to satisfy the geopolitical ambitions of the United States. These words are the exclusive heritage of peoples fighting for their sovereignty." And on Tuesday, Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro held a telephone conversation with his Iranian counterpart, Masoud Pezeshkian. During the phone call, the Iranian president reaffirmed the support of the Iranian government and people at this stage in the face of what he described as threats to peace in Latin America and the Caribbean. He pointed out that all these hostile provocations violate the principles of international law and set a dangerous precedent for the peoples of the world. Furthermore, President Pezeshkian also conveyed his best wishes to the Venezuelan government and people for the arrival of the new year 2026, emphasizing his conviction that it will be a favorable year to continue working on the successful development of cooperation and strategic alliance between both countries. For his part, President Nicolás Maduro conveyed a message of solidarity and affection to the Iranian people and reaffirmed that cooperation between the two nations is currently at its best. He reaffirmed his commitment to continue working in all areas of competence already agreed upon by both presidents in various bilateral scenarios. Palestine, a series of new simultaneous attacks were carried out by Israeli occupation forces using drones at various sites across the Gaza Strip. According to the Palestinian Ministry of Health, attacks over the past 24 hours have resulted in the death of at least 5 people and 11 Palestinians wounded. The attacks were perpetrated against camps, residential buildings, and the Indonesian hospital in Beit Lahija, which was set on fire by Zionist soldiers, further exacerbating the humanitarian crisis in the area. Since the ceasefire of October 11, 2025, the death toll has risen to 376, while the number of injured is 981. And United Nations satellite images reveal that the Gaza Strip is submerged under 68 million tons of rubble. According to estimates by the international organization, reconstruction in Gaza could take up to 7 years due to the amount of rubble generated in 2 years of Israeli siege. In this regard, Palestinian media reported that the rubble is mixed with unexploded ammunition and the bodies of at least 10,000 people. In this scenario, rubble removal work has not begun, as Israeli occupation forces are not allowing the entry of heavy machinery needed to transport the rubble and military equipment. In other news, in Lebanon, a series of airstrikes carried out by the Israeli army hit several localities in the south of the country. According to Lebanese media reports, Israeli warplanes launched at least 6 airstrikes on Mount Safi and several other locations in the Il-Klim Al-Tufa area, resulting in explosions and the formation of dense smoke columns. And the Israeli Air Force also attacked the Wadi Asseh area located between the districts of Nabatie and Sidon, thereby expanding the radius of the ongoing attack on Lebanese territory. In this context, the United Nations Security Council stressed the importance of fully implementing Resolution 1701, which calls for an immediate ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, real fake news in different formats, news updates and much more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Venezuela hosted the Assembly of Peoples for Peace and Sovereignty in our America in the face of the United States military threats against the Caribbean. The event takes place in the Venezuelan room of the military circle from Tuesday, December 9th to Thursday, December 11th, with the participation of international experts. In this scenario, the dialogue aims to raise awareness and add more voices against the military threat from the United States in the Caribbean, which endangers the security of the region. At Tuesday's meeting, the Venezuelan Foreign Minister Iván Gil and Cuban intellectual Abel Prieto denounced the ongoing menace to our peoples and urged action for peace. In this context, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Venezuela, Iván Gil, emphasized the need to find a peaceful solution for the threats that the Caribbean region faces regarding U.S. military deployment. Let's listen.
Because this deployment that the Empire is doing is without any answer for the people, then we are going to be in a domination scenario in the whole Latin America. So this assembly, popular assembly for peace and sovereignty in our America, must constitute a strong arm and a structure that allows us to give a sovereign answer, an independent answer to the threat that are over our people.
And the president of Cuba's Casa de las Americas expressed his admiration for Venezuela's response to the growing military threat from the United States in the Caribbean.
And I want to tell you that our people, the people of Cuba, have followed every detail of this escalation, this criminal escalation, all the lies, one after another. They use lies as a weapon of war, constantly to confuse the friends of the world in an attempt to divide the people of Cuba, the people of Venezuela, and the response of President Nicolas Maduro and the Venezuelan people to this escalation has been truly admirable.
The president of the National Assembly of Venezuela, Jorge Rodriguez, also condemned the United States' alleged fight against drug trafficking.
And, as always, in a display of hypocrisy, they used flimsy excuses. President Maduro has labeled them as an absolutely slanderous and extravagant narrative, and it is
absolutamente calumniosa, extravagante. ¿Y lo es?
in a supposed program to fight drugs. He said it well, paraphrasing the great commander Fidel Castro, more doctors, less bullets.
Más médicos, menos balas. El problema de la dependencia de sustancias psicoactivas.
The problem of psychoactive substance dependency is a medical problem, a health problem, a family problem, and it must be addressed in all its aspects.
Debe ser atendido en todos sus elementos.
And we stay in Venezuela. The country is celebrating 201 years since the Battle of Ayacucho, a milestone in the independence of Hispanic America. This event sealed the freedom of a continent, concretizing the project outlined by the liberator Simón Bolívar, the definitive defeat of Spanish rule in South America. And also the event was attended by members of the Venezuelan Armed Forces, led by Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino López, who highlighted the anti-imperialist and heroic spirit of the heroes of Venezuela and the continuing relevance of the liberator's ideals. In addition, they commemorated the 123rd anniversary of the last proclamation by General Cipriano Castro, who confronted foreign powers and emphasized that the country belongs to the Venezuelan people. And now we go to the United States. President Donald Trump stated that he does not rule out a future military operation against countries in Latin America and the Caribbean in a context of growing U.S. interference in the region. In a televised interview, the head of state argued that drug trafficking is a structural problem and that he would therefore use force against targets in Mexico, Colombia, also whom he considers responsible for the alleged trafficking of fentanyl to the United States. In this regard, Trump avoided answering questions about the possibility of sending troops to Venezuela following the growing U.S. militarization of the Caribbean. Let's recall that this supposed fight against drugs, which has justified attacks on more than 20 vessels and the murder of some 80 people, is an illegality denounced by international human rights bodies. During his interview, the U.S. president avoided answering questions about Venezuela.
I don't want to rule in or out. I don't talk about it. Why would I talk to you, an extremely unfriendly publication, if you want to call it Politico, that guy? I don't want to.
The U.S. president also revealed that he didn't know much about Honduras ex-president Juan Orlando Hernandez, whom he granted a complete pardon, releasing him from a 45-year jail sentence for drug trafficking-related charges.
Well, I don't know him, and I know very little about him, other than people said it was like a Obama-Biden type setup, where he was set up. He was the president of the country. The country deals in drugs, like probably you could say that about every country. And because he was the president, they gave him like 45 years in prison. And there are many people fighting for Honduras, very good people that I know, and they think he was treated horribly, and they asked me.
And on Tuesday, in the United States as well, the race to become Miami's next mayor is underway. In this context, Republicans are hoping Miami City Manager Emilio Gonzalez helps them retain their nearly 30-year hold on the mayor's office, backed by President Donald Trump's endorsement. On the other hand, Democrats hope former County Commissioner Aileen Higgins can continue their party's national overperformance in special elections. Let's recall that Higgins led after the first round of voting on November 4th with 35% of the vote to Gonzalez's 19%. A defeat for Republicans in Miami could add a new twist to the plan to build Trump's presidential library downtown. And we have a second short break coming up. Before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to From the South. Cambodia and Thailand resume military clashes despite ceasefire agreements. Cambodian authorities reported at least 7 civilians killed, with 20 others injured in the bilateral attacks. In this regard, the Senate assured that it will wage a fight against Thailand. In the face of widespread fighting, thousands of people had to abandon their homes in both countries to ensure their safety. In this scenario, Thailand expressed its commitment to defending its sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Thailand is determined to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity, and therefore military measures must be taken as necessary to protect Thailand's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
On Tuesday, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, declared Venezuelan joropo an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. A delegation from Venezuela traveled to India to receive the final verdict that recognizes the international relevance of joropo, a musical and dance tradition that symbolizes Venezuelan national identity. In this context, the delegation reaffirmed the Bolivarian nation's commitment to defending cultural diversity. In this regard, Venezuela highlighted UNESCO's contributions to the democratization of culture and social justice for all peoples. In other news, we go to Argentina. The State Workers Association, ATE, is leading a national strike with a march to the National Congress in protest against the labor reforms and the policies of Javier Milei's government. The labor reform document, which will be submitted to Congress for debate on Wednesday, includes changes to working hours and compensation. In this regard, the Workers' Union considers that the modification of labor legislation constitutes a setback that undermines the rights. State delegations from different areas of the country are participating in the rally, and central protest against this measure supporting the ATE's argument that the national and local governments are responsible for supporting neoliberal policies. Let's recall that according to data released by the Workers' Union, Argentine state workers have lost more than 33% of their purchasing power in the last 23 months, which is why they are demanding an urgent salary adjustment. Now we go to Ecuador. In Las Malvinas neighborhood, citizens held a vigil in honor of the anniversary of the case of the 4 missing children, and at the same time protested against the impunity of those responsible. Family members, friends, and human rights activists held walks, symbolic ceremonies, and a vigil for the 4 miners murdered in the rural area of Taura in El Naranjal. The activities began with a walk from the Malvinas Community Center to the Coviem Citadel Park, where the children played football for the last time in December 2024. This commemoration coincided with the reinstatement of the trial against 17 military personnel prosecuted for the events, where the prosecution requested a sentence of 34 years and 8 months for the accused.
Today, we gather here as diverse groups and individuals with different intentions because today marks 1 year since the disappearance of the 4 Malvinas children was made public. We know that this is important to remember and that this case cannot remain unpunished. There are many cases like this one, but this is the one that received the most media coverage. Every day in Esmeraldas, every day in Fronteras, and wherever there is a racialized population, the National Police and the National Army are generally exploiting false positives and also racial profiling.
Generando también un perfilamiento racial alrededor.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.